Servant leadership is one of my favourite concepts. For me, it's a no-brainer. So let me explain why. The idea for servant leadership came from a corporate manager called Robert Greenleaf. In 1958, whilst Greenleaf was reading Hermann Hesse's novel A Journey into the East, he had a revelation. The protagonist of the book is a character called Leo, who appears to be serving the group that is travelling to the east. But in fact, he also seems to act as their motivator, their coach, and maybe their leader. Because when Leo leaves the group struggles. He's been more than just a guide. He has been the leader. From his recognition of this, Greenleaf came up with the idea of servant leader. The leader who appears to serve the people who follow them. Greenleaf's first concept of servant leadership was a moral one. We have a responsibility to help the people we lead, to grow and to develop. So we must serve them. And a servant leader must also serve their organisation. A CEO must serve the organisation she or he leads. It's a stewardship responsibility. They must leave the organisation as healthy, as vibrant, or even more so than when they took over the leadership role. So I see the idea of servant leadership as one in which the leader is a steward for the organisation, the resources, the assets, and the people that they lead. This creates a duty of care for the leader towards their people. Thus, Greenleaf's model of servant leadership is a roles-based or behavioural model of leadership. And Greenleaf argued that we can and should all become servant leaders by placing the concept of service at the heart of our leadership ethic. Some of the behaviours that a servant leader needs to exhibit include listening, empathy and healing relationships, awareness, foresight and conceptualising the world, building communities and stewarding resources, influencing through persuasion rather than through control or direct authority, and committing to the growth, the well-being of the people they serve. I describe the twin roles of a servant leader as being about rations and raincoat. Rations is the role of a servant leader to provide their followers the things they need to do their jobs and to thrive. The resources, the materials, the equipment, the time and the knowledge. A raincoat is all about protecting them from the things that will get in their way, often the organisational nonsense that can too easily fill our days. The upshot of this is quite often the servant leader taking on the minor administrative and easier, less satisfying tasks to free up their team to do the more demanding, more challenging and more interesting tasks. Truly, the servant leader is serving their team, often with tea and coffee, biscuits, cakes. There is no glory in servant leadership. There is just service. Max Dupre was the son of DJ Dupre, the US businessman and founder of the furniture company Herman Miller. When Max Dupre stepped down as CEO of Herman Miller in 1987, he published his book, Leadership is an Art. This and the books he continued to write was a bestseller, and it set out his philosophy on leadership. And as you'd expect, it is a vision of a leader as a servant. The leader is the servant of his followers in that he removes the obstacles that prevent them from doing their jobs. Dupre goes on to say, In short, the true leader enables his or her followers to realize their full potential. Servant leadership is a behavioral model of leadership. This means that leadership emerges from a set of behaviors. In this case, they are driven by a specific mindset, a service approach to leadership. But the simple fact is, if you do these behaviors, you will be serving the people who follow you. So, what are the behaviors to cultivate? Here are my top 7. And right at the start, I'm going to place integrity. This is non-negotiable. Your stewardship role has to be directed by a powerful ethical compass. The second is humility, because without humility, the temptation to rule, the temptation to acquire power will dominate the desire to serve. So see yourself as a small part of a larger whole, with a role to play that just happens to be called leadership. Third is communication, but you need to make great efforts to listen to and to understand the things that other people are saying and want you to know. Place other people's perspectives above your own, but when you do have something to say it clearly, say it openly, and say it honestly. Number 4 is respect. Build empathy with everyone you meet. Treat them with respect. And respect them for what they can do and for who they are, rather than doing the easier thing, which is to disrespect people for what they can't do and who they're not. Number 5 is restraint. In a leadership role, you will have power and you will have authority. How you choose to exercise those is a strong and powerful indicator of your approach to leadership. Servant leadership avoids using that power and that authority. Instead, deploy the personal power that comes from your character traits, depth of your personality, and of your character. Number 6 is coaching, and there are many ways to attend to the learning and the development of your team members, including training and working with people to mentor them and guide them. But above all of them in my book is coaching. As a style to help people to learn and develop for themselves, there is no better way. And finally, trust. As a servant leader, you must trust the people you lead. You must trust their judgment. You must trust their decisions. You must trust them to do the right thing. If you impose decisions upon them, if you impose actions upon them, you are not trusting them and you are not serving them. I don't often do this, but in this case, I want to end this video with a quote. And it is another quote from Max Dupre. The first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The last is to say thank you. In between the two, the leader must become a servant and a debtor. That sums up the progress of an artful leader. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it or learned from it. I'll be making loads more great management courses videos for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of them. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.